Thank you everyone for joining us for this month's Books in Focus. I, Nicole, Christine, and Jenny are going to talk about some exciting books coming out in March that we're looking forward to. We like to start with some big names publishing in fiction, okay? So these are some quick picks. Judge Stone is the newest from, perhaps you've heard of, James Patterson. This time pairing with, thank you, Viola Davis, okay? Her first novel. It's going to be an incredible courtroom drama set in Alabama. We're going to follow Judge Mary Stone as she deals with the most controversial and dangerous case in her career. Bloodlust, Sandra Brown brings her latest sexy suspense to us. This one's about a detective seeking justice for his murdered wife with the help of a psychotherapist while fighting an undeniable attraction to her. Felicia's Favorites, a mother's going to bestow a life-changing legacy on her 5 adult daughters in Danielle Steele's latest moving novel. Daughters of Egypt, this one promises to be a sweeping tale of a young woman who unearths the truth about a forgotten pharaoh, rewriting both of their legacies. Who Wants to Know a Secret is going to be a hot pick from Freya McFadden. This one follows baking sensation April. Her fame might come crashing to an end if what's buried in her backyard is discovered, okay? The Night We Met is a romantic comedy, one of those cutesy ones from Abby Jimenez. And this one, in everyone's life, there's a split-second decision that could change everything. And for Larissa, it's the ride home after a concert one evening. Hopefully there's some Elizabeth Berg fans here. She's got a new one coming out. In Life, a Love Story, Florence is slowing down and writing a letter to Ruthie, the woman she grew up next door to. Florence is describing the items that she's leaving Ruthie in her will and sharing intimate stories. It promises to be a warm novel reminding us of the richness in our own lives. And finally, The Final Storm from Fern Michaels. An acclaimed photographer overcomes a difficult past, and her courage and resilience is tested when secrets are uncovered in her new marriage.
We'll begin with Night Faring. That it is part travel memoir and also a profound journey through the endangered night, revealing its capacity to enchant and connect us. The night sky is getting a lot of light pollution, and this author wants us to learn to enjoy, try to enjoy as much of it as we can. Next, Liza Minnelli has written Kids, Wait Till You Hear This, her autobiography, of EGOT icon, Liza Minnelli. It's up close, raw, strong, sexy, hilarious, and heartbreaking. And then The Best Dog in the World. This is a heartwarming essay collection that celebrates the life-changing bond with our canine companions. 14 authors capture the canine-human connection, from the joy of welcoming a new puppy to the heartache of saying goodbye to a beloved friend. And Everybody's Fly by Fab Five Freddy. This is an intimate memoir and a panoramic cultural history. Fab Five Freddy has shattered racial and artistic boundaries throughout his career by bridging worlds and raising underground movements to pop culture dominance. He's responsible for turning subway tags into fine art. He's the first person to put together a hip hop movie, and he also brought rap music to MTV. So he is a very influential cultural icon that I was not familiar with, so I might give that a look.
My Gardening Life. It is by a well-known cookery writer and presenter, Mary Berry. But in this, she is sharing her love of growing plants, visiting gardens, and getting hands-on in her own garden plot. And it's full of her own anecdotes, little pearls of wisdom, and photos of her own garden. So she is just trying out something different and going from cooking to gardening. Then You Can't Catch Us This is a kind of a book about Lady Bird Johnson, so at a time when political candidates' wives were expected to be seen and not heard, she made history as the first presidential spouse to take a leading role on the campaign trail, and this is about that monumental journey that expanded women's role in politics. Next we have Judy Blume, A Life. There was a lot to say about this one. So it is a multi-dimensional portrait of the one and only famous author, and was written through extensive interviews, access to her papers and letters. It explores her 1950s upbringing, her complicated childhood, her relationships, her sexual experiences, her bouts of heartache, and the legacy that she leaves behind today for contemporary literature. This one's kind of hard to read, but it is called Seven Sisters. It is a spirited narrative history of the 7 daughters of the great Empress Maria Theresa, which does include Marie Antoinette of France. It is meticulously researched and animated by the sisters' own memoirs and diaries, and almost daily letters that they wrote. And this is a vivid portrait of a brilliant world collapsing in a fearful time. For number 1, A Far-Flung Life by M.L. Stedman. Set in Western Australia, 1958. This is a historical saga that follows the McBride family after a pivotal moment that changes their lives forever. It is told with shimmering prose and is a story about the decisions people make in the wake of tragic circumstances. It is about legacy and land and grief as it focuses on family and community in a vast and difficult, isolated landscape. Life can change in the blink of an eye, and A Far-Flung Life is all about the lengths one will go to protect what they love. One of the first ones that you think about was Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. Beth and her husband are happily married, but when her brother-in-law shoots a dog for attacking their sheep, the course of their lives will change forever as tensions rise and past secrets are revealed. This is a fast-paced and gripping atmospheric love story filled with impossible choices and explosive consequences told in dual timelines. So you have that kind of similarities with its themes of impossible choices. It next made me think of one of my actual current reads, Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. Dominic Salt and his family have been tasked with conserving the world's largest seed bank in shearwater Antarctica. But when a strange woman washes ashore, secrets collide in this atmospheric novel filled with tragedy. Full of breathtaking twists, dizzying beauty, and ferocious love, Wild Dark Shore is about the impossible choices we make to protect the people we love, even as the world around us is disappearing.
The author of Life of Pi has a new one out. So this is going to be a brilliant retelling of the Trojan War, told from the perspective of 2 commoners, an ancient soldier and a modern scholar. Homer's Iliad and Odyssey were not the only ancient tales of the Trojan War, and in Son of Nobody, Jan Martel composes a new epic in free verse that follows the goat herder's son, Soaz, who leaves his wife and family to fight in Troy. Soaz meets his doom, and the poem of his life is lost until an academic studying at Oxford discovers its relics centuries later. The academic finds and assembles the fragments and grapples with questions of ambition, family, responsibility, told in both the ancient and modern worlds. Son of Nobody will challenge the regal perspective of traditional epics and show parallels to the past. So you of course got to read the Iliad first, right? And Emily Wilson's interpretation is considered a literary landmark, the most revered war poem of its time, retold with fresh, unpretentious, and lean contemporary translation, okay? For a more modern read-alike, check out The Song of Achilles. In this, Madeline Miller depicts Achilles, who meets an awkward exiled prince by chance, and the two become inseparable, despite risking angering the gods, okay? Next one, a sequel. For those of you that haven't read this yet, this is the 6th in a funny, beloved mystery series. In this one, Finley Donovan crosses the line. Finley's partner in crime and nanny, Vero, has been exiled to face crime charges, having to to move from Virginia, where the story usually takes place, to Maryland, okay? Vero gets an ankle bracelet and is forced to live with family that she did not want to live with. She didn't even want to be in the same state with them, and now they're having to deal. Finley takes off behind her because she needs help find the witness to prove Vero's innocence or find the real thief, okay? So this author's storytelling, sense of humor, fun, beloved characters, exaggerated storylines, makes me think of this Vera Wong series. I think you'd enjoy both, if you enjoy either, that is. And Vera Wong has a second one in the series. This one's called Snoopy, Not a Dead Man. In this one, Vera Wong is bored, okay? Business is good, her son is happy. There's no bodies showing up in her tea shop. She's a little bored. So when she meets a distressed young woman looking for a missing friend, she jumps at the chance to do something exciting. And hey, there may be a dead body in the future. Also, if you like this fun, frivolous, over-the-top storyline and humor, now Emily Henry is not a mystery writer like these other two, but I think it's got the same sass, the same spunk, the same lovable characters. In this one, Book Lovers, Nora is a literary agent who goes on a trip with her sister for some fun, to forget about work. But on her trip, she keeps running into Charlie, who she already knows. He's a big city editor. She knows him. She's not impressed, but fate keeps bringing them together.
So this is a new Gothic masterpiece set in the woods of North Carolina in the year 1899, and it follows Sonia Wilson, a struggling scientific illustrator who jumps at the chance to work with the reclusive Dr. Halder. But what happened to her predecessor, and why are the animals acting so strange? This is well-written, suspenseful, and positively horrifying. It is overflowing with insects, so if you don't like bugs, maybe not for you. This one is sure to appeal to horror readers that like headstrong female characters, a sprinkling of humor, and a heavy dash of bugs. In this new novel that will creep under your skin. The first read-alike, The Daughter of Dr. Moreau. I thought about this one because it has that kind of companion idea. A genre blend of historical fiction, horror, and science fiction set in 19th century Mexico. It is a lavish reimagining that follows Carlotta Moreau, daughter to a genius mad scientist, who creates strange human-animal hybrid monstrosities, and Montgomery Lawton, assistant to the doctor. It is brimming with secrets and set in a lush jungle. This is a Gothic approach to a classic sci-fi story and will appeal to fans of multiple genres. The next read-alike, The Graceview Patient by Caitlin Starling. I think if you like T. Kingfisher's writing style, you probably enjoy the writing style of Caitlin Starling. It is dread-filled and atmospheric, a tale that will burrow under the skin and leave you unsettled. Margaret lives with a rare autoimmune disease that is destroying her life, but when she's offered a fully paid spot in an experimental medical trial, she jumps at the chance to find some relief. However, nothing is as it seems in this sinister hospital. What is real and what is medical delusion? And will Margaret ever find a way out of the nightmare that is Graceview Memorial? Next we have Whidbey by T. Kira Madden. I do believe this is her first delving into fiction writing. Thought-provoking and beautifully executed, this is a deeply complex and psychological portrait of three women connected through one man in the aftermath of his murder. It shows how trauma lives differently inside each person, how the same tragedy can wound, transform, and reshape lives. Bertie Chang and Lindsay King were once victim to Calvin Boyer, and his mother, Mary Beth, is shocked to learn of her son's murder, sending all three women on a quest for answers in this complex whodunit that delves into trauma and the pursuit of justice. The first one I found, Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. This is a fast-paced and compelling, unflinching thriller based on the Ted Bundy murders, as two women search for justice in the wake of these crimes, told in two perspectives, from Pamela Shoemaker, the president of Florida State University Sorority House in Tallahassee, and Ruth Wachowski, a missing victim living in Seattle, and they are both linked by Tina Cannon, a friend, who knows there must be a connection between the two killing sprees in both states. Next one, Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hilliard. I have read this one, I really enjoyed it. It is a compelling and complex story of three best friends, one who was murdered, one who went to prison, and one who's been searching for the truth all these years. When 16-year-old Angela Wong disappeared without a trace, nobody ever suspected her best friends, Georgina Shaw or Calvin James. But when Angela's remains are discovered close to Georgina's home years later, secrets begin to become uncovered. Because Angela fell victim to Calvin, Georgina's first love, a relationship that bordered on obsession. What truly happened that fateful night, and how far will someone go to bury their own secrets and hide their grief?
Lake Effect. This one's gonna start in 1977. Nina is struggling in her empty nesting. Everyone's left the house, and she has a new lack of intimacy in her marriage. Her best friend's getting a divorce, her oldest daughter's falling in love. Life's really complicated for her right now. She finds interest and someone new to hang out with in her neighborhood, which brings us freedom that she hasn't felt in a long time. She'd kind of forgotten that that kind of freedom was possible. But it threatens the reputation of both families and her daughter's new relationship. Years later, we follow up with Nina's daughter Clara as a successful food stylist in New York City. She's having trouble moving on, forgiving her family for things that have happened in their past, which we're gonna find out, so I'm not talking all about them right here. But they're all drawn back home for a family wedding. Lake Effect is told with humor and insight, and is a probing look at love, desire, and family relationships as well. If you're gonna have any interest in Lake Effect, please check out Kin. The best-selling author of An American Marriage is back with Kin, which is about two lifelong friends who are separated after a devastating tragedy. Readers will follow the lives of Bernice and Annie as Kin explores the complexities of being a woman in the American South, okay? And then I was so interested in Lake Effect because of the author's last book, okay? She got a lot of positive reviews, a lot of following for The Nest. The Nest is about four siblings who gather to take care of their brother Leo, who's just out of rehab. His crazy behavior has culminated in a car crash that is threatening the nest. The nest is what they call their joint trust fund that they are months away from receiving. Can the siblings get Leo together and follow the rules set by the trust, or how will they figure out to survive without the nest? Tender, funny, with a memorable cast of characters, The Nest explores money, relationships, and ambitions. Okay. Lucian is about the son of a working class immigrant named Christopher, okay? Christopher's a talented painter who arrives at the talented painter who arrives at Harvard on a full scholarship. Raised amid hardship by immigrants, he is totally unprepared for the privileged world that his freshman roommate, Lucian, has been raised in and has access to. Lucian is born to wealthy European diplomats. He's bold, he's rash, he's brilliant, compared to Christopher's timid introvert, okay? So Lucian doesn't seem all that he seems as they get to know each other. They're going to new parties, new social gatherings, getting into things that Christopher's never thought of before. And Lucian has this great idea for Christopher to start knocking off some art and selling it to dealers and galleries locally, okay? Lucian's risky behavior becomes increasingly unpredictable, and Christopher is forced to take bigger and bigger risks. Made me think of The Secret History by Donna Tartt, which is a classic that follows classmates at a New England college who push the boundaries of morality, obsession, and just corruption, to be frank, about what their silver spoon upbringing will let them get away with. And also it made me think of Flesh. This one follows teenage Ivan Istvan, who lives with his mother in a quiet apartment in Hungary. Shy and new in town, he feels isolated from his classmates. But a series of events in his life will change him. His life, his relationship, and his family. And the story is told through a collection of moments that take place over decades.
A Lie for a Lie is a new thriller coming out on the 10th of the month. This story is of Margot and Margot's double life. Margot is a married interior designer by day, and an infiltrator of dangerous targets by night. Her latest target is a tech billionaire whose fortune may have come from a stolen app and whose girlfriend may or may not have recently gone missing. Evidence shifts and boundaries blur as Margot realizes this is far more than just another job. Read-alikes for that were, I chose were Stone Cold Fox. After a lifetime of cons, B is determined to marry into a blue blood family, and her cat and mouse game turns very dangerous when secrets come to light. And also Pretty Things by Janelle Brown. A grifter takes on the super rich. Where the Girls Were. This takes place in San Francisco, 1968. This is a work of women's fiction. Elizabeth Phillips is 17, bright, valedictorian of her graduating class. She's on her way to Stanford to pursue a degree in journalism, and things become wildly uncertain when she comes up pregnant. It's 1968, so her family sends her to a home for unwed mothers. Her shame and lack of choices add to the whiplash that she feels. She struggles to find her strength and her voice among the community of girls who went away. That was such a common thing back in the day, not so common anymore. Read-alikes for that, I chose Joanna Goodman's The Home for Unwanted Girls, which is 1950s Quebec. A 15-year-old is forced to give up a child, that's her story. And Looking for Jane by Heather Marshall, and that is about underground abortions. And in the 70s, the doctor who runs the hospital, she had was an unwed teen mom in the 50s, so she has a lot of passion to share, helping these young women.
Lady Tremaine is the latest retelling of Cinderella, told through the eyes of the evil stepmother. A widow twice over, Ethelreda, who just goes by Ethel from here on out, is saddled with care of her 2 kids, a smug stepdaughter, and a falcon. And her life becomes a ruse, just like her house, beautiful and ornate on the outside, kind of crumbling on the inside. Ethel strives for respect and will try her best to secure marriage for her children. But a royal ball offers this chance, and a surprise engagement to the heir of the kingdom unveils family secrets as she struggles to keep her family together. A fantastical tale of women making their own future and taking charge of their fortunes. Makes me think for the timing and plot, Good Intentions. This is a new one. It is a twin story, Jenny, okay? And that's not a spoiler, it says it on the first page. You're gonna want to check it out.
I like those.
Yeah. A psychological suspense about a luxury party planner who becomes obsessed with a woman she encounters by chance. It explores moral ambiguity when facing big life choices. And also for a more literal read-alike, check out We Kept Her in the Cellar. This is a Cinderella retelling as well, but from the perspective of the stepsister, okay? Stepsister Eunice is very weary of Cinderella as she has dark powers in this one. Unsettling and macabre at every turn, it promises. Celestial Knights starts in 1896 with the Challenger shuttle falling out of the sky and into the sea. At the same time, Oliver Inez is born, and this will be his story. Oliver lives in an English village with dreams of space. When he becomes an astronaut and achieves some acclaim, a billionaire taps him to lead a landmark mission to a distant moon, Europa, and there are some big decisions to make. Experiencing space, uncharted territory, gives Oliver new perspective on his own life. He reflects on his university days, his Navy days, his failed relationships, and wonders what the world will look like when he returns to Earth. Very intriguing, sounds like it'll be very heartfelt and reflective. Check out, there's not a lot of literal reader like, so check out Wandering Souls if you're interested. This is the debut from this author. It won some acclaim and some positive reviews for lyrical writing and historical research. In this one, after the American troops have left Vietnam, 3 siblings make the journey to Hong Kong with the promise that their parents will follow behind when possible. But tragedy strikes, the parents cannot join them, the 3 siblings have been orphaned, and they are now the caretakers to their younger siblings. The siblings struggle to make ends meet, grapple with survivor's guilt, and find themselves on different journeys despite the same upbringing, and we will get it from all 3 of the siblings' perspectives. For more of a space read-alike, be sure and check out Hail Mary. This one is going to be a new movie in March, I want to say, and gets a lot of great reviews for its audiobook especially. In this one, Ryland Grace is the sole survivor on a last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and Earth will perish.
Hard time. It's going to be a hard book with hard topics. An extraordinary crime novel that follows the ripple effects of a tragic shooting throughout a Chicago community from the view of the teachers, police officers, and the students impacted. Buddy Mack has been caught in the middle of 2 worlds at war, torn between his loyalties as a teacher and helping his students and his personal life, where his best friend is his wife's little brother, a corrupt Chicago cop. Well written and featuring complex characters, this is an engrossing read full of heart, compassion, and consequences after the shooting of an unarmed high school student tripwires a series of disruptions and revelations involving police corruption and a Black teacher's uneasy family life. So not a light read, that's for sure. If you want similar topics and subject matter, then How to Be Safe is going to be the read-alike for you. And the hours after a mass shooting at the high school that English teacher Anna Crawford works at and has been recently suspended from, she is shocked to see herself on television listed as a suspect. It is compulsively readable and even darkly humorous at times. This is a uniquely written novel that focuses on hard topics and criticizes the current gun and social media culture and the freedoms we are willing to give up for our own safety. If you want something that's kind of about choosing sides and, questioning your own loyalties, then What Kind of Paradise by Janelle Brown. This is relatively new. A teenage girl breaks free from her father's world of isolation in this exhilarating novel of family, identity, and the power we have to shape our own destinies. And this comes after her father makes her an accomplice to a horrific crime. It is fast-paced and thought-provoking, and explores the impact of technology, the rise of AI, societal changes. Themes of family dysfunction are very strong in this one. Torn loyalties, and uncovering the truth of not only who you are, but who your family is as well. So we have Death at the Firefly Tea. It is number 30 in this Tea Shop Mystery Series. She's still going. Set in Charleston, South Carolina, follow Theodosia in this cozy mystery set against the backdrop of the Tangled Rose B&B Tea Shop, full of a large cast of fun characters and deadly drama surrounding a poison-baked Alaska, an assault by a masked stranger, and a kidnapping. Theodosia sure has her hands full as she tries to find a killer in a large pool of suspects in this dramatic life or death chase that is sure to entertain readers as they sit back and read with their favorite cup of tea. And then first we like Murder Spills the Tea, Tea by the Sea Mysteries, number 3. The country's hottest TV cooking show is coming to Cape Cod, and against her better judgment, Lily Roberts is entering America Bakes with her charming tea room, Tea by the Sea. However, when infamous bad boy chef Tommy Green is murdered, suspicion falls on all of the competitors, and Lily races against time to solve the murder, clear her own name, before anyone else gets hurt in this cozy amateur sleuth mystery with quirky characters and lots of laughs. Then we have Murder at the Lemonberry Tea. I love the double covers. This is Beacon Bake Shop number 6. Lindsay Bakewell's iconic Lighthouse Bake Shop in beautiful Beacon Harbor, Michigan is hosting a celebrity cookbook author from the UK. But the notorious diva is now dead on arrival. When drama goes down in the kitchen, resulting in a body surfacing in the lake, Lindsay is determined to find the killer and clear her and her boyfriend's name in this chaotic and twisty, fun mystery where everyone is a suspect. So lots of drama ensues across all of these. More drama, more suspense. So the one for this is When Justice Comes by Colleen Coble. This is the third and final book in her Tupelo Grove series. So I'm actually going to talk first about What We Hide, because this is the first one in the series. This is the beginning of Hez and Savannah's story, who have been separated since tragedy tore them apart, and he began numbing his grief with guilt and alcohol. Well, grief and guilt with alcohol. They both returned to Tupelo University, where they are both dragged into a murder investigation that threatens to either bring them closer or tear them apart more. So that's the premise for the series. And then we're jumping to book number 3. Hez and Savannah are back, and life is almost perfect, but when the process of adopting their nephew goes awry, they must fight the ghosts of their past in order to protect their family. They're fast-paced and full of twists. This series reaches its breathtaking conclusion as an enemy's agenda for revenge runs darker than swamp water, and justice remains as precarious as quicksand. It is heart-pounding and underscores the power of redemption and forgiveness. These are all romantic suspense titles and are in the inspirational section. So next we have Never Fall Again. It is the first in the new series by Lynn Blackburn. An inspirational romantic suspense with a large cast of characters set in small town North Carolina. Widower Landry Hutton is working to rebuild her life for her daughter, and when she hires Cal Shaw to handle her home construction. When she is threatened after a suspicious fire, Cal, an ex-Marine, must decide if he can get over the past, try out love again, and do all of this while trying to protect Landry from an unknown danger in this heartwarming start to a new series.
A Ghastly Catastrophe by Deanna Rayburn. This is number 10 in the Veronica Speedwell mystery series. These take place in England. Veronica and Stoker find themselves up against a secret society, so secret that only one mention of the society can be found anywhere. It becomes clear that the secret society is a sect looking to entice immortality seekers. Corpses are found drained of blood, stage suicides are uncovered. How will Veronica and Stoker fare as they unravel this macabre mystery? The first in this series is a book called A Curious Beginning. That's from 2015. It's number 10. Rita likes J.R. Ward, The Black Dagger Brotherhood is about a modern vampire world, and Anne Rice's The Vampire Armand is 18th century France vampires. So you can have your vampires across time and enjoy them in all those different settings. The Golden Boy by Patricia Finn. This is a literary fiction selection. It's about the protagonist is Stratford Hopkins, and he and his wife are settling into retirement on Maui, and they receive a letter, and this letter tells them that they have been named as guardians of Stratford's childhood friends' grandchildren. There are 4 of them. So this is going to change their lives a little bit. Yeah. So Miriam and Stratford return to the hardscrabble town that he left behind so he can confront his past, rebuild his future, and redirect the fates of 4 young people now in his care. Rita likes for that, I chose The Accidental Guardian by Mary Conley. That is Trace Riley and Deborah Harkness meet on the trail, and they take care of children that she has taken under her wing after a wagon train accident. And things we never got over. Naomi loses her sister and then becomes a guardian of a niece she never knew she had. And that niece is 11 going on 30, as 11-year-olds can be.
The Complex is a big tale taking place between America and India for fans of real estate drama, political ambitions, and moral betrayals. It starts in the 1970s in Delhi. The sons and daughters of a huge political architect are all vying for family influence, legacy, and inheritance. One son, Sachin, leaves for America with his new bride, and they're eager to form their own lives outside the family. But the family is not quite ready to let them go. The siblings and parents and extended family push each other's buttons, some personally, some professionally, and when a big violent uprising in India explodes, buried family secrets involved in the politics and the family business come out. Equal parts family saga and political drama, a novel of revenge and ambition. Made me think of the TV show Succession, you know, those siblings all squabbling over the family's business. For book Rita likes, The Secrets Between Us. This is a Cleveland author, if you haven't checked her out before. In this one, we meet a former servant who struggles against circumstances of class and misfortune to make a life for herself and her granddaughter in modern India. Also check out The Rabbit Hutch. This one takes place in Indiana and follows 4 young adults who have aged out of the foster care system and are trying to survive as young adults without any financial or structural support. A provocative tale of loneliness, community, and entrapment. The Lives of Murderers' Wives. Okay, this one follows 3 women, Beverly, Elsie, and Margot. They seem like typical housewives, but what they all have in common is they are wives of convicted killers. Their husbands or exes are now behind bars, but they could really use a friend during the summer of 1966. They meet by chance and bond. Beverly is headstrong with 2 kids and tries to control everything. Elsie fights for respect in the newsroom. Margot's the glamorous one who doesn't seem to take anything too seriously. They know what people think when they see them. How could they have not known? What did they know? What are they hiding? What are they thinking? Now, there's a new murder in town, and the women decide to get to work because who better to catch a killer than those who have shared their homes with one? Part portrayal of women surviving shattered trust, part suspense as they hunt down a killer. The Secret Lives of Murderers' Wives explores female friendships and empowerment. Made me think of this nonfiction called Lives of the Wives. Less murder in this one, okay? But still, very dramatic. This 2023 title explores the lives of writers' wives. 5 famous, often tumultuous marriages exploring the creative process and the role of money, fame, and these fascinating authors' relationships. Also made me think of The Best Way to Bury Your Husband, which is a dark comedy about 4 women coming together to heal the damage their husbands have done and maybe hide their bodies.
The Fortune Tellers of Rue Duru, last name Gilmore, and it's a gothic horror. A fearless fortune teller in 1920s Paris must use her powers to divine who she can trust, and even more importantly, learn to trust herself in this menacing story filled with political intrigue, family secrets, and of course, ghosts and seances aplenty. By day, Zena and her grandmother serve tea, mostly to members of the bustling Russian emigre community, but when dusk falls, they divine fortunes and perform seances for their loyal clientele. When she summons a famous ghost, unexpected consequences abound as he starts to haunt the shop and reveal sinister details of her family's past in this twisty, historical, supernatural story. The London Society by Sarah Penner was the first thing I kind of found and thought about that gives you that same mystery and seance. A spellbinding tale about two daring women who hunt for truth and justice in the perilous art of conjuring the dead, set in 1873 on the outskirts of Paris, France. Lena Wicks, a non-believer, has come to Paris to work with the acclaimed spiritualist Vaudeline Delaire in the hopes of finding answers about her sister's death. However, in the process, Lena and Vaudeline are drawn in to solve a high-profile murder that may just come back to haunt them in this atmospheric and suspenseful historical mystery. One read alike, again, that sounded perfect for this is Gilmore's previous work, The Haunting of Moscow House, a deeply moving and suspenseful, elegant Gothic horror tale set in post-revolutionary Russia about two formerly aristocratic sisters who race to uncover their family's long-buried secrets in a house haunted by a dangerous past when their home is taken over by a group of, forgive me, Bolsheviks. Becky. The Golativa sisters must adapt to a new way of life, but at home the spirits of their deceased family awaken, desperate to impart what really happened to them during the revolution.
The Adjunct by Maria Adelman is a satire. Takes place in Baltimore, Maryland. Our protagonist is Sam, who runs into her former grad school advisor, Tom. They have a complicated history which has impacted Sam's career and her navigation of academic politics, institutional hurdles, and romantic entanglements. Tom has recently left his job and published his second novel, and Sam may be the inspiration behind a central character. This is a hilarious yet sobering look at how our culture defines modern academia and asks who controls the narratives of success, identity, and power. This author's previous work is called How to Be Eaten. E-A-T-E-N, yeah. Loneliness of Sonia and Sonny is a bit of a read-alike in that, in the very beginning of that story, Sonia has a relationship with her professor. She's a PhD candidate, and she has a relationship with her professor. And he's very manipulative, and that does impact her. That relationship doesn't carry throughout the story, but it's in the introductory parts. It's a piece that helps to define who that character is going to become. Everybody thought this was going to be the Booker Prize winner this year. Mm-hmm. It was the odds-on favorite, but we don't know how that turned out. The Love Hypothesis, too, is a lighter look at that type of relationship. A young student in this case, the relationship is created as a fake relationship to satisfy family members, but you know how these romances go. It turns into something else. Sisters in Yellow by Mieko Kawakami. This is the story of Hana. Hana is a poor girl being raised by her single mom. She meets Kimiko, who is older and is a bright light in Hana's dark world. They set up Lemon, a bar in Sangenjaya. Sangenjaya is a district in Tokyo that's known for its bars, cafes, and restaurants. In any case, their bar, Lemon, becomes Hana's haven. She loves her job, she loves her friends, and she loves the bar, she loves the money. But in the alleyways of Sangenjaya, Hana's resolve will be tested. This is a story of friendship, betrayal, teenage dreams, and adult cruelties. This author also has a novel, All the Lovers in the Night. And some read-alikes for this book. I chose mine is Matchbox by Yoko Ogawa. This is a 12-year-old, and this I checked this out because it didn't make sense, but it happens. A 12-year-old Tomoko leaves her home in Tokyo for Ashiya to stay with her aunt. There she meets Mina, whose sophisticated family holds many secrets. I guess it's not uncommon in Japan to send the children to live like in the country if you live in Tokyo, even when they're very young. And I also chose Flesh as a read-alike. The common element with this one is the coming of age piece. Flesh is, you meet a man when he's very young, you go through into his adulthood and find out all these things about his life. It starts in Hungary and he moves on to London, makes a lot of money. And has anyone read Flesh yet? Yeah, it's very good. It's a book that you read and you're reading it and just reading it, and when you get done you're like, oh, wow, what a story. And Upward Bound by Woody Brown. Upward Bound is about a group home in California. Well, it's adult daycare, it's not a group home, it's an adult daycare program. For LA's disabled community, large cast of characters, and it's led by Dave, Upward Bound's director, who came to LA, of course, to be an actor. And this is what he's doing in the meantime. Intertwining narratives are connected in surprising and shattering ways. Woody Brown has created, and I'm going to quote this, an indelible, authentic, and profoundly moving group portrait of autism and other disabilities. Read-alikes were almost impossible to find. This is not a topic that people write novels about. I chose Me Before You by Jojo Moyes because it is a person with a disability having an adult relationship. And the Six of Crows is in the teen section, but it is about a master thief who has a physical disability, demonstrating that physical limitations do not define a person's abilities. So very slim pickings in that subject matter. So if anybody wants to write a novel about in a much needed area, I would make that suggestion.
Ruins. In this one, Professor Ember Agnew is a rising star in archaeology. She's trying to balance her career in academia with a crumbling marriage, and she's investigating a lost empire that no one believes to have existed. Just as she's about to give up a planned expedition that she's been fundraising for, committed to for over a decade now, she gets a message from a former student who claims to have found something extraordinary, an artifact that hints that the forgotten world may exist. With her goal now seemingly plausible, she risks everything for the sake of discovery and goes on an odyssey that will either make her career or ruin her life. Check out this author's previous one, The Light Pirate. We're gonna follow the story of Wanda, who was born during a hurricane in Florida. We follow her story from her birth to her adulthood. And in her adulthood, she has not left her hometown, and she's struggling to survive as things have gotten harder and harder, and climate change has changed the world to make it worse. This is a dystopian told in 4 parts: power, water, light, and time. Very intriguing. It also made me think of Station 11, a unique read set around civilization's collapse. Readers will follow a small troupe of actors and musicians as they dedicate themselves to keeping art and humanity alive until they meet a violent prophet who will try to stop her. Under C is a debut. In this one, main character Marissa loses her mother when she's very young. Her father continues her mother's deep sea research in Thailand, where Marissa meets Ariel. A new close friendship begins. The girls grow up together, and they move between Ariel's family resort and Marissa's family research compound on a small deserted island, pretty much. They learn to dive together, and they explore the forests of the island and the reefs in the sea. Years later, we meet up with Marissa in New York, reflecting back on her upbringing and that friendship as a cataclysmic storm is approaching the city. Underwater is described as beautiful and haunting. Made me think of Flashlight. In this one, Louisa and her father take a seaside walk with a flashlight. And before we know it, Louisa is coughing up water. She's washed ashore. She's got the flashlight, but Dad is nowhere to be found, okay? Mom and Louisa feel adrift, facing the challenge of ordinary life in the wake of a great loss. Also made me think of The Waters by Bonnie Jo Campbell. This one takes place on an island in Michigan. We're gonna meet herbalist Hermione Zook, who has healing powers, which both fascinate and scare the local people. We're gonna watch her raise her family, including her granddaughter. It's a wild rural area, and the daughters and her granddaughter overcome family secrets until a flood comes, upends the community, and upends their lives. Another very dramatic family story.
Now we're at the start of our nonfiction. First one up, The Power of Life, the Invention of Biology and the Revolutionary Science of Jean-Baptiste Lamarck by Jessica Riskin. Sadly, we don't have any biographies on this author, so I delve into other things, but this is a deeply researched and beautifully written melding of biography, history, politics, and science that details the life and work of revolutionary thinker and French naturalist Lamarck, who proposed the first evolutionary theory of life, and with it a new science that we know of today as biology. Riskin tells the story of Lamarck's life and work as an intense struggle between rival forces to answer the questions that remain foundational to our modern worldview. What is a living being, and what is science? That sentence, that was a direct quote, it made me think of The Light Eaters by Zoe Schlanger. Written by award-winning environment and science reporter, this eye-opening and informative look at the ecosystem we live in challenges us to rethink the role of plants and our own place in the natural world. Examine the latest epiphanies in botanical research, travel across the globe, and dig into the soil with scientists in this fascinating exploration of plant intelligence. Next we like, which I think I talked about last year, Infinite Life, the revolutionary story of eggs, evolution, and life on Earth. By examining eggs from their earliest histories to the very latest fossilized discoveries, encompassing the myriad changes and mutations of eggs from the evolution of yolk to the hard eggshells of lost dinosaurs, to the animals that have evolved to simultaneously give birth to eggs and live young, Howard reveals untold stories of great diversity and majesty to shed light on the huge impact that egg science has on all of our lives.
Feather Wars by Jane McCommons. The subtitle on this one is In the Great Crusade to Save America's Birds. A narrative history of the early American bird conservation movement. At the turn of the 20th century, birds were being killed by the billions with a B. For fashion, for the market, and for the pet trade. A nationwide movement with a colorful cast of characters successfully changed how Americans viewed birds, which led to conservation laws and altering of the American landscape. The Backyard Bird Chronicles by Amy Tan would probably be a lovely companion and even a follow-up. This book has been wildly popular. And The Meaning of Birds, also by Simon Barnes. The Secret History of French Cooking, The Outlaw Chefs Who Made Food Modern by Luc Barre. This is historical narrative about how French Nouvelle Cuisine rebels like Paul Bocuse, broke away from traditional French cooking in the 60s and 70s. This book also features a group of female chefs who fought for their place in the all-male culinary establishment and for their right to be recognized as chefs around the world. Rita likes Notes from a Black Chef, a Young Black Chef, by Kwame Onwuachi. That is the story of breaking into the notoriously exclusive white-dominated industry of food. And also Dirt, Adventures as a Chef in Training, Father Sleuth Looking for the Secret of French Cooking, Phil Buford. This is adventures in Lyon as a chef in training. And Salt Lakes, they're by Caroline Tracy. There are over 100 salt lakes on the earth, and every one of them is at risk of drying up. Tracy chronicles the decline of the lakes and introduces us to those who are trying to save them. This is part travel writing, part memoir, reporting, and an inspiring call to save this strange and fragile ecosystem. It's very unique. Rita likes Still Waters, The Secret World of Lakes. That's lakes of all kinds. And Erin Brockovich's Superman's Not Coming. Not only does she talk about the water crisis, but what we the people can do about it. So she does have some action step ideas in there, which is often very helpful.
Did this one. America's Founding Son by Bob Crawford. It is an accessible and entertaining biography of our nation's greatest public servant and original political maverick, John Quincy Adams. Crawford argues that Adams represented a crucial bridge between two eras as he helped force America to reckon with the disconnect between the promises of its founding documents, freedom and equality for all, and the stain of its original slavery. Featuring lesser-known abolitionists Benjamin Lundy and Theodore Weld, this is an entertaining deep dive into an underexplored period in American history. First read alike, American Republics, A Continental History of the United States from the years of 1783 to 1850. This is a beautifully written history of America's formative period that offers information on key characters from Frederick Douglass and Sojourner Truth to Margaret Fuller to Andrew Jackson and John Adams and many more as Taylor works to illuminate the history of slavery, American industrialization, the economy, and so much more in this all-encompassing narrative of our country during a tumultuous time. A lot to digest in that. Next, we like revolutionary characters. What made the founders different? An extremely well-researched and illuminating group portrait featuring individual essays of the men who came to be known as the Founding Fathers. Wood not only details what each founder did, but also the character and thoughts of each man that helped to create the country we know, love, and live in today. So the history diehards, if you will. Perfect for American 250. We have El Paso by Jasmine. I'm not sure how to say her last name. A brave new work of narrative nonfiction that gives a new voice and perspective to history that has long been checked at the border. It uses deep research and dozens of new interviews to blow away the myth of this place, where Mexico's Juarez and America's El Paso intertwine. It is meticulously researched. Jasmine charts the history of El Paso through 5 families, from the Mexican Revolution to the current day immigration laws and the violence brought on by the drug war. So some heavy topics and everything, but like I said, it's gonna give you that history of El Paso, passed down from 5 different families. So it's gonna be a long encompassing story. First, read like The Crossing, El Paso, the Southwest, and America's Forgotten Origin Story. A radical work of history that recenters the midway between North and South, centuries-long hub of immigration, and underappreciated modern blueprint for a changing United States. Brought to you by an award-winning El Paso native journalist. This is a revelatory new history that recasts the city as the unacknowledged cradle of American history, where cultures have encountered each other for centuries and forged a thriving, multi-ethnic community far ahead of the rest of the nation. And then, let me say this one wrong. Everyone who is gone is here. And that's hard for me. An epic, heartbreaking, and deeply reported history of the disastrous humanitarian crisis at the southern border, told through the lives of the migrants forced to risk everything. It is told with astonishing nuance and detail, and this is a vital and remarkable story that has shaped the nation's turbulent politics and culture in countless ways and will almost certainly determine its future. Very timely, these ones. Our next Books in Focus is March 10th. Coincidentally, that is also when Pallets and Pages was also rescheduled for. So if you signed up for that for today, that's canceled as due to a sickness, so you will be coming on Tuesday, March 10th instead. So you'll do a dumb down for Books in Focus and Pallets and Pages.